Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our next session with Canadian Palladium. I'm Joe Fars, and I'm joined with Jamie Newall and Richard Sutcliffe of Canadian Palladium. It's a very exciting palladium story near Sudbury, Ontario. They've had great exploration success expanding upon a known resource. It has large-scale, robust palladium grade, strong rhodium complement, and it's supported by a strong management and a very technical team. Not to mention that they have a very unique copper cobalt play in Europe as well. So with that, Jamie, Richard, why don't you guys tell us your story?
Thank you very much, Joe. Canadian Palladium is focused on two key minerals, palladium and cobalt, and each of our two projects is focused on one of those minerals. The palladium is the focus of our East Bull project on Sudbury, Ontario, and Tisova, our project on the Czech-German border, is focused on cobalt. Unfortunately, today we won't have time to talk about the Tisova project, but I think it's important just to understand why we're looking at these two minerals in particular. We believe palladium is an important mineral for the next 10 to 15 years. It is a key component in catalytic converters and particularly used in the hybrid car market. And the world has seen a faster growth in the hybrid market than in the electric vehicle market, and particularly as hybrid is seen as the vehicle to allow countries to catch up on the electrification required to have a full electric vehicle fleet, and also the crossover vehicle to allow large trucks, both domestic and heavy goods vehicles, to move towards full electrification. So we believe in palladium we have a strong mineral for the next 10 to 15 years, and obviously in cobalt, a true mineral for the future. It is a key component in the thermal stability of electric car batteries. And although some people are concerned about the certain aspects of the metal, particular mineral, particularly where it comes from, I think it's a source in Europe, which is one of the key growth electric vehicle market, and a source not only in Europe, but very close to the nucleus of European, not only car manufacturing factories, but also the battery manufacturing factories, is going to be an exciting prospect for the future. All I'll say about Tisova today is that it is drill ready, and we've done a lot of geophysical work there and preparation work, but due to COVID rules, we cannot get into the Czech Republic to commence our drilling program. We hope to commence that drilling program in Q4 of this year. So really want to focus today on palladium and East Bull. I think an interesting point to raise about palladium is that although demand in palladium fell by 13% during the COVID pandemic last year, the supply fell by more. So it remains in supply deficit, and that is probably why the palladium prices remain strong, while many other metals and minerals have seen prices dropping over the last few months. With that, I'll hand over to Richard Sutcliffe, our Chief Geological Advisor, to talk about the project. Richard is exceptionally experienced and will explain some of his specific relative experience for our project. I want to hand over to him. So Richard, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Jamie and Joe, for the introduction. My name is Richard Sutcliffe. I'm a geologist, and I'm the project originator for the East Bull project, and I'm currently an advisor, geological advisor to Canadian Palladium. I think this is a very interesting and unique platinum group metal property, being located 90 kilometers west of Sudbury. It's right in the heart of Canada's premier district for mining and processing and smelting PGM copper nickel sulfide ores. So a very significant location, close to great infrastructure, and a lot of support for mining development. The property, if I can have the next slide, Jamie, the property hosts quite a unique assemblage of metals. This is a sulfide, magmatic sulfide deposit that is palladium dominant, but also in addition contains the other PGM metals, rhodium and platinum, as well as significant gold, copper, nickel, and cobalt credits. All of these metals occur together in the disseminated mineralization, and all would be produced in a concentrate, a sulfide concentrate, by processing of this mineralization. The next slide gives a little bit of background on where the property started with Canadian Palladium. The Canadian Palladium acquired East Bull in 2019. At that time, we did have a resource on the property. The resource was about 500,000 palladium equivalent ounces at a grade of 1.46 grams per ton palladium equivalent. The Canadian Palladium's been in a very fortunate position to be able to lever this the historical data and essentially go forward with a drill program to expand that resource on a very cost-effective basis. We've currently well into a 15,000 meter drilling program that has extended the resource significantly along strike, down dip, and we've even had some discovery of new zones. So this is going to lead to a very significant expansion of that 500,000 ounces that was acquired. Not just an expansion, but an increase by a multiple of that number. The table at the bottom there shows some of the metal grades for the various components of the mineralization. You know, there's 7 metals in total here that contribute to the palladium equivalent at East Bull, you can see the resource numbers there and the palladium dominancy, which leads to the 1.46 gram per ton palladium equivalent resource grade. Next slide, please. One of the key attributes of this property that I like to bring attention to early in the presentation is that the East Bull sulfide mineralization has a very high PGM tenor. That means that the sulfides contain a very high concentration of PGM, so we have a small amount of sulfides giving rise to these resource numbers. At the top of the zone, we've got a very consistent high grade zone, and you can see from some of these intercepts, we're getting consistent intervals of PGM grades in the 8 to 10 gram range at the top of the East Bull mineralization. So this is actually an important attribute of the property that adds to its exploration opportunity, in addition to the bulk tonnage mineralization that we're drilling. Next slide, please. This shows some three-dimensional images of the resource at the time Canadian Palladium acquired the property. Essentially, mineralization was defined over approximately 2 kilometers. We had a couple of gaps in the mineralization, but you can see a consistent east-west striking and north-dipping mineralized zone. Drilling by Canadian Palladium has filled in these gaps, but also significantly extended mineralization on strike and down dip. So when we produce a 43101 resource update later this year, we do anticipate we'll be able to expand that contained mineralization by a multiple of the 500,000 ounces that was defined at the time our program started. Mineralization is primarily in 2 zones, Valhalla and Garden Zone, which occur along strike from each other. Now the next slide shows some further detail on this. I think one of the very important attributes of the East Bull deposit is the fact we've got some very wide intersections and a consistent 45-degree dipping mineralized zone. So the grid on this section through the deposit is 50 meters square. So you can see from that this section shows widths ranging up to 70 meters. So that's very significant bulk tonnage widths. And you can also see that the 45-degree footwall of the deposit, 45-degree dipping footwall, is parallel to a pit wall in this pit-constrained resource. This results in the geometry of the deposit being very amenable to open pit mining and a low strip ratio. And you can see that as we follow the footwall of the deposit follows the pit wall, and there's very limited waste in this configuration. Obviously, as we drill deeper, that waste increases, but it still presents a low strip opportunity. Next slide, please. This slide demonstrates the mineralized zone shown as a gray overlay on the aeromag map. And it shows the location of Canadian Palladium's drill traces on that resource. You can see that the mineralization is following a mag gradient between a mag high to the south of the zone and a lower magnetic signature shown in the blue tones along the north side of the zone. Where this type of data has allowed us to very effectively extend the strike length, and you can see the Canadian Palladium's drill pattern there, and how we've very significantly increased the resource. The black drill traces were the historical ones that were used for the prior resource, and the red traces show the new drilling that will increase the resource tonnage and contain metal in this deposit. We're really excited about some of the drilling at the west end of the deposit, where we've been recently focusing. The reason for that interest is that we've discovered a new zone of mineralization underneath the main Valhalla Garden Zone system. And we interpret this as a feeder structure for the East Bull mineralization. Next slide gives a bit of a detail on some of that west end drill results. And some of the recent drilling here shown by East Bull 52 has encountered a new zone underneath the Garden Zone, which is characterized by mineralized inclusion breccia, which we think is evidence of a dynamic feeder dike underlying the main zone. One of the reasons this is exciting is that this kind of geological environment does potentially give rise to some higher grade. We're looking forward to getting our next round of assays on the drilling of this material. And we're going to follow up too with some borehole EM geophysics to investigate the opportunities for semi-massive, potentially massive sulfide mineralization that could be associated with a feeder structure. Next slide, please. This slide illustrates one of the more innovative geophysical techniques we've deployed here in our search at East Bull. This is a magnetotelluric survey section. MT is a deep penetrating geophysical method that allows us to detect areas of low resistivity deep in the crust. You can see here the scale is about 1 kilometer. In the range of 300 to 500 meters on this section. We've got some drill targets identified by the orange tones, which are areas of low resistivity. This disseminated style of mineralization, isn't typically conductive, so we're using MT as a way of detecting disseminated mineralization deep. And MT affords a little opportunity to look deeper in the crust than some of the typical IP type induced polarization methods that would normally deployed. So just example here of one of the approaches we're using to target some of these higher grade feeder systems underneath the main zone. And sort of this emphasizes some of the further upside that we have for exploration on this property. Next slide. I think this wraps up our presentation on and summarize our presentation on East Bull. Canadian Palladium sees this as a very unique bulk tonnage PGM deposit with some exciting exploration potential, and it particularly benefits from close proximity to Sudbury, being Canada's premier district for mining and processing of nickel copper PGM mineralization. Our mineralization, sulfide mineralization, East Bull has a very high PGM tenor. We think this will result in it showing some very good metallurgy. We're about to start a metallurgical program to demonstrate that, and we do believe that our 15,000 meter drilling program is going to result in some very significant expansion of the resource at East Bull, and as well is developing some exciting new targets for even further expansion beyond the Valhalla and Garden Zone mineralization. So that summarizes my presentation on East Bull. I'm happy to turn this back to Jamie to follow up with some of the corporate information.
Yeah, thank you, Rich. That was a very useful summary. I think it's important to understand there are very few palladium dominant exploration projects in the world. And even before Canadian Palladium started its drilling campaign, we would have been in the top 10, 15 of those plays. If you took the current 43-101 and understand that was done at much lower palladium prices, and then add in the excellent results we've had from our drilling campaign, that could put us in the top 5 palladium dominant exploration plays in the world. And it's been very frustrating for us. We've been able to update our investors as quickly as we would like due to the significant delays at the moment running with lab work. But the results we've already put out have been exciting. We have a very good pipeline of news releases as we are able to put out the drill results of the current campaign, leading to the update of 43-101, which we hope to have completed by Q4 of this year. That's really it from Richard and myself. If you have any questions, please do ask.
That's brilliant, guys. Really appreciate that. Certainly looking forward to that expansion of the resource. I think a number of people are certainly looking forward to that. Just a couple of questions here. Really on the plumbing of the deposit. And now with that new feeder structure, perhaps more of a question for Richard. Are you finding similar mineralization styles now across the entirety of that strike length, or is it somewhat different now as you get into the feeder zone?
Well, the feeder zone so far, we've really only got about 4 or 5 holes into it, the west end. We got some hints that it may actually be present under other parts of the property, perhaps central and central east areas. But right now, the feeder zone mineralization, we've only defined at the west. Style is a little different. We only have a few assays back on the on feeder mineralization to date. It's kind of shown perhaps a slightly lower PGM tenor, but with higher base metal contents. I don't know if that's going to play out in the larger program. What we do see, though, is a different style of mineralization, and that we get to coarse, blebby sulfide, potential for net textured, semi-massive sulfide developing. And we do think that that's going to present a target for borehole geophysics that potentially conductive. So we're going to deploy that technique. Borehole I really like because it is a method that gives a good vector to drill targets, and we're sort of expecting, I guess based on what I've seen, and this is speculative, I'm getting a sense that while we've got some very significant PGM numbers associated with this feeder, perhaps we're going to see some higher copper numbers in there than some of the other areas of the Valhalla and Garden Zone. I hope that gives you. I hope that sort of answers the question.
No, that's perfect, Rich. Appreciate that. Maybe one time for one more question here, just on next catalysts, in terms of news flow, maybe in the near term and long term, what we can expect for back half of the year here.
Well, we've got, I've been working hard to get to get the labs locked down on assay deliveries. I think I've made some progress on that. So we do expect quite a significant assay news flow coming back between now and I'm going to say, mid-end of August. That's going to follow up with we are making a commitment to move forward with some metallurgical work. We'll have some information out on that, and then of course later this year we can look forward to that major catalyst being a significant resource update.
Perfect. Yeah, that really wraps it up, guys. Really appreciate everybody's time. Unfortunately, we're out of time now, but do want to thank you for your time, and looking forward to the many catalysts coming forward with Canadian Palladium. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks for the opportunity to present.
Absolutely.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.